All right. Good evening, everybody. So I went ahead and hit the button a little early this evening because I've seen some complaints that old Rumble has been taking its sweet time getting us live. I see Patrick's joined us right there. I've got Mario with us tonight. Good evening, brother.
Indeedly doodly.
How goes it?
Just fucking tired, man. Had like a marathon yesterday. Then work today, and I got obligations tomorrow. So don't be offended if I cut out tonight around 11 p.m. or 2300.
Bear with me a second, Mario. You're breaking up on me, and it might be my headset. Let me reboot it.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. If you can hear me, be happy. Testing.
That's much better.
1, 2, 3.
That's
Okay.
much better. All right. So this evening, we're going to talk about mob theory, the Granovetter bomb, and the development of communication and social media and how it's related to things like mass formation psychosis, mob formation, riot execution, amorphous warfare, and how all this is related to the story of Lindsay Clancy. So, Mario, I believe you are already familiar with the story of Lindsay Clancy. I covered it without you earlier this week.
And
you are familiar with the story, right?
Yes, I am familiar with Lindsay Clancy. Yes, and the what is going on with my computer? What the fuck, PowerPoint? Okay, there we go. It seems to be working. All right. Anyway, yes, I'm familiar with Lindsay Clancy, and I guess in some small regard,
do you have the PowerPoint open on your screen there?
I do.
Okay, I am going to send you the updated PowerPoint. Screen.
Very well. Let me close this one. So, yeah, I'm familiar with Lindsay Clancy, and I'm also basically, I think, in some small way, this might be part 2 to the Edward Bernays deep dive, the man who sold you everything. Okay, just to show you the weaponization that could occur, the mass hysteria that can occur within populations when you have social media combined with the power of artificial intelligence. All right, because you're looking at what's going on with these women on TikTok, okay? And bear in mind, I know that TikTok has a habit of the worst segments of society are often gravitated towards, okay? TikTok, okay? Simply because it is 30 second max, you know what I mean? Videos. It is ideally suited to brain rot and to sub 80 IQ populations, okay? That said, there is something malevolent going on here in how many of these women seem to have made it their battle to get a triple child murderer exonerated for her crimes. You're probably looking at it in disbelief, like, how is this even possible? This doesn't make sense. I didn't know women were this broken, okay? And yeah, I guess we're going to try to figure out why this might be.
And I started off.
TikTok is a small portion of these women are a small representation of women. Okay, I'm sure the majority of women think that Lindsay Clancy should be executed for her crimes. All right, the ultimate crime. Like, there is no greater crime than what Lindsay Clancy committed. It is murder. Murder is capital punishment. Okay, murdering a child is like double capital punishment. Murdering your own children is beyond any measure of reason. That falls within the realm of demonia, okay, of psychotic possession.
Let me put it like this. Mario. Imagine a comic book villain. Imagine two different comic book villains. One of them is a world ender, right? The comic book villain's plan is, because I hate all life, I intend to destroy all life. Total global annihilation, the death of the entire population of the planet, reduced to zero.
Mm-hmm.
That's the objective. That's villain A.
Yep.
Villain B seeks to murder all children.
Yeah.
Children only. Right? Now, there's an argument to be made that villain A is the more destructive. But I challenge you to argue that villain B is not the more evil.
Yeah, villain B would be more evil, okay? Because villain B, it targets explicitly the innocents, whereas villain A would make a principal stance of exterminating all life, okay? Like, villain A would be an AI run amok, you know what I mean? Villain B,
Right, Ultron. Villain A is Ultron.
Villain A is Ultron. Okay, yeah. Villain B specifically targets the most innocent. Okay, the ones who have not committed the crimes of humanity that Villain A judges us for, and even furthermore, seeks to torture the population by depriving it of its youth again and again and again through infanticide. Okay, yes, Villain B is worse.
Correct. Planned Parenthood is more evil than Nazi Germany.
The Joker would be disgusted and ashamed of Lindsay Clancy and execute her.
Correct. And yeah, I mean, and you laugh, and it's kind of funny when you put it that way. But yes. Patrick says villain B is Casey Anthony. I don't know that name.
Oh, you don't know that? This is a similar such case, okay? Except this one occurred in the 2010s, I believe. Casey Anthony murdered her child, tried to frame another dude, and then that fell apart. And then it became clear that Casey Anthony murdered her own child because she wanted to go out and be a slut and party, okay? And however, she was never held to account for her crimes, which is the parallel. Yes, Kathy. Yeah, trust me. If you looked her up, you'd recognize it. Okay.
Okay.
She was a recently divorced mother, I believe, and then turned into like a club going, because like clubs were a thing back in the 2010s. This might have been in the 2000s, honestly. That name goes way back. Okay.
Gotcha.
It basically became a turbo slut coal burner and then murdered her daughter because it inhibited her lifestyle. Because the daughter was holding back her attempt to relive her late teens, early 20s. I don't know.
Just wow.
Fuck it. I'll look her up real quick. I'll give you the exact year.
There's a couple things you already said, and then I'm going to play us a song tonight. That is not directly related to the topic, but it is.
2008.
Okay. Gotcha. It rings a bell, but I didn't recognize the name. So Lindsay Casey, of course, has been, the hot news item all week. And I started to do the show tonight on mothers killing their children, rates of infanticide, pull up all the information about the mental illness pandemic that is affecting women today, and go down the whole rabbit hole of pharmacology, pharmaceuticals, big pharma, and the abuse of our women by a grotesque industry. But the fact is, I covered that. I covered that on Monday or Tuesday this week already pretty aggressively, and showed you all those numbers. And as I was thinking about it, I was thinking, there's another thing going on with the Lindsay Clancy case that's worth looking at, and it relates directly to a few topics that we've discussed in the past. It gives me a good opportunity to discuss a specific topic that I've wanted to do a deep dive on anyway, which is mob mechanics and the mob threshold theory, which we'll get into in more detail in a minute. And when I say that, you're seeing it play out in Lindsay Clancy's supporters, right? Because we've talked about the psycho chicks on TikTok who are sitting there holding their baby asleep on their chest and holding their phone out and saying, "Same, Lindsay, same." Bitch, what do you mean same? you have a beautiful baby. Why are you announcing to the world that you want to murder your infant child? You're a monster.
They're witches. They're witches.
But now we have the very real phenomenon. And I won't beleaguer this too much because this is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the show. But you have been told that Twitter isn't real life, that social media isn't real life. That was true. Okay? But just because it's not real life doesn't mean it doesn't touch real life. Right? I talked about the film early last week. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. It's an AI apocalypse movie about a time traveler from the future. And one of the things that happens in that film that is a really excellent analogical representation of the phenomenon we're talking tonight. They start talking about the kinds of things they're afraid of, and then there's this monster that appears, and it's a carnivorous giraffe made out of cat heads.
The fuck?
It's okay. Absolute nightmare fuel. It is the kind of thing that you would expect to be generated by a bad prompt into an AI image generator, right? Except it is a fully fleshed out three-dimensional monster walking the streets in the real world to make the point that, and it's making the artistic point about there being a blurred line between reality and the offline reality of the artificial intelligence. Yes, Patrick, it's Sam Rockwell's new movie, and it is in fact fantastic. So, so I'm going to go ahead. We're 10 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and drop the song on you guys. Give Mario a minute to deal with whatever's going on behind the scenes at his house, and we'll be back with you in about 5 minutes. As soon as this thing connects. There we go.
They light the torches, chant the names, build their altars out of flames. Every sinner's crown of thorns, sold in their culture wars. They preach compassion, sell the rage, turn their prisons into stage. Their saints wear mugshots, their prophets steal. They burn the truth and call it real. Oh, their martyrs are monsters, born of lies and pride. They cry for mercy while the innocent die. Oh, their martyrs are monsters, built from their sins. Keep the cameras rolling, call that justice again. They sanctify the broken glass, bleeding hands, a riot mass. Names carved deep in city streets, halos hung on their deceit. They preach forgiveness, never peace. Feed the mob, they never cease. They don't want truth, they want control. Trade their souls for the victim role. They want blood, they want fame, addicted to the chaos game. Oh, their martyrs are monsters, virtue wrapped in vice. They sell their stories, never pay the price. Oh, they're martyrs or monsters, born from fire and light, and they worship everyone till the last truth dies. They built their temples on broken backs, preach forgiveness while lighting the match. They want a savior, look inside. All their martyrs were monsters before the day they died.
All right. So we go ahead and get the presentation up on the screen for this evening. I believe it's this window. There it is. And there we go.
Hey, by the way, there's some significant lag between the what's being presented, like on my phone when I tune into Rumble, as to what's going on right here. Okay, just so you're aware.
I'm keenly aware.
Okay.
It's actually a problem behind the scenes for production. It's very difficult to I kind of have to guess at what's happening next.
Yeah.
Because the alternative to guess at what's happening next is just to have the live feeds from half a dozen different locations all playing simultaneous. No, we just have to trust the process.
Plan trusted. 2 more weeks. Yeah. So the martyrs are monsters.
Mario has argued for keeping our faces exposed like this, and we're going to try it, even though it means that I have to smoke less and wear a shirt for the whole presentation.
I don't think Rumble cares if you smoke.
Rumble doesn't care. I care.
You care? Oh, okay. Trying to put on good appearance. Yes, because 20 years from now, your children will be watching this like, you know what? Dad liked cigarettes. I think I like cigarettes too.
Yeah, I'm a terrible hypocrite on that front, and the children are being reminded constantly that cigarettes are a bad idea. Daddy smokes now because he was stupid when he was a kid.
Yeah,
and I don't want my kids to be stupid when they're adults.
Or it's like a lesson learned. Like, look how severely your father got addicted. Okay, look, I'm guilty as well. Okay, look how severely your father got addicted. Guess who's one generation away from your father? You. So what do you think's going to happen when you pick up a smoke? Are you going to be one of those kids who like hacks cough? This is disgusting. Or are you going to be one of those kids like me who's like, yeah, that's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
My very first pack of cigarettes was a pack of Winston Reds. Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Say of that what you will. Now, I was thinking,
when I first started smoking, I was about 13. I was smoking cigars, Swisher Sweets. Whenever we'd have a couple of beers a couple times a week, I'd have a cigar with my beers. I didn't start smoking cigarettes until I was about 16. And then I was at work and I didn't have time to smoke a cigar, and somebody had cigarettes. And I was like, yeah, that'll work.
So you were one of those like punk ass teens wearing your Sketcher like hard decks, okay, shoes. You had the Janko jeans on with the bell
Oh
bottoms,
God. Oh fuck no.
and you were rocking like a FUBU hoodie, okay, like, and you walk into 7-Eleven like, yo, let me get a pack of blacks, dog. Was that you? It's okay. It's okay. We were all there. It's okay. Aaron Olson wasn't there because he's a
No, he
child.
was not. No, I think that was pre-Aaron Olson.
I remember buying my teenage brother fucking Newports just so that he and his like shitbag bad influence ghetto friend wouldn't like swipe him off the shelf and run out of the 7-Eleven. I'm like, all right, you motherfucker. I'm gonna buy you Newports. I'm gonna upcharge you, and you're not gonna steal. Got it? Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
see,
you. Thank you, Marco.
I just grew a beard so nobody would ask me for ID.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because 13-year-old Chris looked like an 18-year-old, looked like a large 18-year-old. Yes, I understand. You had a different. Your entire life has been governed by different rules than us peasants, Chris. Okay, so
Dude, okay.
show some humility, if you would.
Okay, we'll get into it. Here's a funny anecdote for you. The first time I was ever asked for ID to buy cigarettes was when I was 18 years old. I went to hang out with some buddies of mine who had just graduated high school the year before. They were a year ahead of me. They had graduated and they'd gone off to college in Alabama. And I went to hang out with them at their frat house in Alabama. And we went out to do a beer run. We had a guy who was old enough to buy beer. There were just a couple of us in the car. The only reason I went along with them was because I was out of smokes and needed to buy some. I was 18.
Yep.
They had just changed the law in Alabama, and I didn't know, and just raised the age to 19. And the guy asked me for my ID, and he just said, what the fuck are you trying to do? You're not old enough to buy cigarettes. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm 81. I'm 18. Yeah, it's 19, dude. Since when? Because at the time, it was definitely still 18 in Georgia, right? That was the first time I was ever carded. I thought I was completely good to go, right with God, right with the law. Nope. I was in Georgia, but not in Alabama. Not at the time.
And at that moment, Chris became an anti-government reactionary extremist.
Oh, God, no. That happened years before that.
But yeah, I mean,
Mario, that happened to me before the first time I saw taxes withheld from my paycheck.
Okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, in regards to the smoking thing, it is, isn't it funny how, in the end, it all comes back to that most hated axiom of our parents when we were children: do as I say, not as I do.
Yep.
That's blatant hypocrisy.
Yes, it is.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
So let's. So the feed becomes the street. That's the basic thesis tonight. Is we heard over and over again, social media is not the real world.
I had a little warm up. I had a little warm up, little thought exercise. If you wanted to go through that real quick, or if I need to shut the hell up, just tell me.
No, go for it. Go for it. As long as we're back on topic.
Just in politics right now, what we're seeing, like with the DSA, it is the left. All right, is watching in stunned disbelief that the third world that they welcomed into the country, not just with open arms, but with basically siren calls. Okay, please enter my country to destroy my enemies. Okay, so that we can rule. Well, it turns out the goblins, the third world goblins, are in fact turning on them and don't care about their plans to be masters of the universe. Okay, they want political power for themselves. So the question is, what will happen to the political left as they are eaten alive by their third world golems? Are they going to try to join us, as in like, hey man, like yeah, I know like all that stuff the last like 6 decades, okay, but we're all Americans now. I think we need to pull together, okay? Or are they going to basically, what's the expression? Cut their nose to spite their face, whatever, and destroy themselves in the country as in basically in a suicidal political spiral. Do you think the left is going to like join us or try to join us? Or do you think they're going to burn it all to the ground? Because they care about power. And the only way to get power back is to be American again, which means they need us. Maybe that's too expansive a topic, okay? But I was just thinking about that today. Yeah.
No, I think you might be onto a deep dive of your own right there.
Yeah.
I need to show you, Mario, how to open up the deep dive arsenal and add a topic, because you really can just add a loose thought like that, and the machine will try and seek out the pieces to put together.
Mm-hmm.
To like, you could just loose idea, and it'll bring together a bunch of threads and say, well, are you thinking something this direction or this direction? And that might be, okay, yeah, you've captured it perfectly. Let's go this way. Or it might be, oh, you know what? I hadn't thought about it that way. Let's go down that rabbit hole.
I got you.
It's very effective. I can show you how to work with it later.
I've been pretty busy. I did a 12-hour shift yesterday.
I understand.
Did a trade show, okay, for my industry. Then I had to come back and basically log right back on and finish the normal shift up to 8 p.m. And then I was busy today, this morning, and I'm busy tomorrow as well. I'm filling in for I'm Eucharistic minister tomorrow, so I kind of have to go to bed early, and I'm not allowed to be fucked up. So.
So,
all right.
So we got Lit Mario tonight.
No. I just can't be. I have to wake up in the morning. Okay, this is normally my shift starts at 11 a.m. But I got to be somewhere else. I got to be somewhere that's not work, that has ultimately has a greater gravity than work. Yeah, exactly.
What time you got to get up? You want me to give you a call?
No, don't worry about that. I just need to log out by 11 so I can get my wiggles out and be in bed by midnight. So, given that we've already wasted 30 minutes, let's go. So,
in fairness, we have discussed the topic itself. So, here's what we're getting into. We're not talking about not being representative does not mean not consequential. Right? What do I mean by that? The thing that you've heard over and over again, like I've already said a couple times this episode, is that the internet is not reality. Social media in particular is not reality. When you see a topic trending on social media, people are talking about it. That doesn't mean that represents a very small sample size of the actual public sentiment around a particular topic. That said, the fact is that very tiny subsection is consequential, right? We've explained before the name of the show is The Brushfire Mind, and that is a reference to a quote by Samuel Adams, who said, "It is not the majority, but a tireless and irate minority setting brushfires of liberty in the minds of men." Right? And his quote is ever so slightly misleading. He says it is not the majority. The fact is that setting of brush fires in the minds of men
ultimately becomes
a majority eventually.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, like you're saying, social media. You're saying social media is not reality. Yeah, that's true. However, it is reality to the psychologically to our weakest, to the most psychologically weak, okay? And it provides a meta reality, okay, that bleeds through to the midwits, okay, to the convictionless, okay, to the unprincipled. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it is the harbinger of a new and terrible reality, what you see on social media.
And think about think about the reality of the world that Samuel Adams was operating in, right? The founders, the original American revolutionaries. You've all heard the 3% line, right? It was only 3% of the men who rose up and fought the Revolutionary War and established the United States of America. Well, think about what it took for them to assemble and accumulate that 3%. Word of mouth, face to face, riding horses back and forth to places, right? No telegram even. Pamphlets, right? They were barely coming off of the Gutenberg Revolution. A printing press, mass printing pamphlets that could be handed around.
The pamphlet was the meme. That was the meme war.
Correct.
Okay. Basically, quickly assembled one pagers. Okay, stamped out as quickly as possible, tri-folded and handed out. Okay, that was the meme war, and the American Revolutionaries won that meme war. And big. Thomas Paine was the original meme master. Okay,
right.
So yeah,
and in that case, it took months, right, for a mimetic process to propagate across the population and actually get that information to people. Right. Go back sometime. This is something else that I want to do a deep dive on sometime. Go back sometime, Mario. I know you haven't read as much as I have on it, but you've read philosophical treatises, communications between philosophers and academicians, especially like Catholic monks who were academicians of a sort. I know not as extensively as I have, but I believe you're familiar with the phenomenon. If you go back and read the treatises and essays and works of, Aristotle, Pythagoras, Aquinas, etc., Descartes, in any of them, right? Yep. All the way back to Socrates, right? You'll find that what those treatises are, it's not like I had a great idea and I'm going to sit down and write an essay. No. Often, sometimes it is, certainly, but often it's Descartes saying, oh, so-and-so's an asshole. Let me explain how he's wrong about everything, right? Yep. The body of academia, right? And this is actually true today, but in academic terms, it's always couched in a more kind of professional, higher level language, academia. But the fact is that the bulk of the body of academia, all the way back to Socrates even, is basically a Twitter flame war between two guys who disagree on how to see the world. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep, 100%.
They're writing 10,000 word essays and sending them off, and the guy they're writing, it's basically a hate mail to a philosopher you disagree with or a mathematician you disagree with, etc. And that is the corpus of academia across history.
What
social media has done is it has made it possible for individuals who do not have any kind of public status to engage in that kind of pseudo academic repartee without the discipline to do so efficiently or effectively.
Yeah.
And without the restriction of a concern for their professional persona, their professional image, and whether or not the next words out of their pen will affect their credibility and therewith their capacity to earn. But all the way back there, right? We were just talking about the Revolutionary War era. It was pamphlets, which you don't tweet a pamphlet and suddenly 4 billion people have seen it and responded to it.
Yeah,
it didn't happen, right? If Adams or Paine, for example, published a pamphlet, maybe thousands of people would see it, and that was an extraordinary following.
Yeah, yeah,
right. But
people who went to the pubs in one city would see it.
but that was sufficient in communication to burn the occupation of the eastern colonies to the ground and create from their ashes the United States of America.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about it's where we're every day we see new horrors that this brought us. Okay, the little black cube, the little monitor. Okay,
The Black Mirror.
The Black Mirror. Okay, we're seeing what that brought to us. It was the great these prescription drug addled women. Okay, and who comprise 38% of the population of women in America. All right. For them,
and nearly 60% of all self-identifying left-wing women.
Correct. The most unhappy people in the world, left-wing women, right? What that was is, would they have been able to access the internet in 1999? Okay, would they and really find their way to forums? Okay, where they could have an actual impact on communities? No, not at all. Not at all. It was 2008 with the iPhone. That was the great leveler, okay? And it was a leveler for evil. And it basically broke the barrier. It broke that IQ wall, all right, or that effort wall for people to get on the internet and spew their nonsense, okay? And we live in that world. We live in a world that has essentially been shaped by it. You've got one slide in this presentation that kind of really, really outlines it. But yeah, that's where we are right now, okay? Where all it takes is one malevolent individual on Twitter or on TikTok, okay, to generate a movement that will, and women are, of course, being consensus thinkers, okay, being herd animals, like women are not people, okay, remember that. Being herd animals, women can be easily swayed, okay, by these false shepherds. And that's exactly what you're seeing. So literally being driven mad by the Black Mirror in their hand.
So yeah, the movement doesn't need majority support. It needs enough motivated people, enough perceived social proof, enough infrastructure to cross the threshold into action. Right? The old mistake, like we're saying, the feed is weird, so it does not matter. Mario, you're familiar with dead internet theory, yes?
A little bit. I've never heard anyone explain it to me in any kind of detail. Can you give me the gist of it?
So dead internet theory basically tells us that the internet died in like 2010. And basically the idea is that there are more bots on the internet than people. So it's impossible to know from day to day unless you know the person that you're interacting with personally on the internet, especially on your social media feeds. It's impossible to know from day to day unless you know them personally in the real world if you are interacting with a human being or a bot, right? Even some of the social accounts that belong to popular, well-known political commentators or celebrities, or it could even be as simple as you're following the account of a politician, right? You'd be following Bernie Sanders' account, watching his Twitter, his X feed, and you're never seeing Bernie Sanders put words on X. You're seeing a staffer do it for him, right? Yeah. Well, that gets even worse when you introduce the concept of bots to the mix. And this is fuel for a later piece of this conversation where I'm going to go into more detail on the idea. But basically, dead internet theory is that most of the internet is just bots talking to each other, and the level of trust that you can have in anything that you see on the internet is dramatically diminished by the fact that a large quantity of it is artificially generated by an automated system.
You have to be intelligent. You have to be intelligent to be able to function on the internet today. Okay.
Correct.
Especially if you're into social media. I'm not really, okay. I'm big into pretty much my main social media up until this week was 4chan, okay, 2008 to 2026. I got banned, and like my IP is banned. All the towers in half of New Smyrna Beach are now banned from uploading to 4chan. Basically because they didn't like. I attacked a moderator. Okay, called him a tranny, said all kinds of horrible things to him. All right, all of which was true. But now I'm gone forever. So yes. Mario is no longer deemed people. Okay, in the dumpster fire at the end of the internet, or at the end of the clear net. Okay, so
dumpster fire at the end of the internet.
yeah, it's like Hitchhiker's Guide. I'm banned from the bar.
I was about to say, are you familiar with Millie Ways?
Yeah, the bouncer. Yes, I can no longer get past the bouncer at the bar at the end of the universe. Okay, yeah, it's that bad. Let me here. Hold up, real quick. Aaron Olson is that kid in class who's like trying to get called on by the teacher, and he's like standing in the middle of the road doing jumping jacks. Okay, so give me a minute to address Aaron Olson here. Mario the priest? No, Eucharist minister is just who assists in handing out the Eucharist. Okay. Though that said, my greatest fear in life is that I may have ignored holy orders, which was a sacrament that I was supposed to be a priest. Okay, because the truth is, I'd be a good one. What color is my Bugatti? Well, it's an F-150 and it's black and it's old. Okay, but I don't have to pay anything for it. All right, because it's paid. Mario out there organizing his community. Yeah, I tried. We got 10% for little over 10% for Fishback, which is, well, as the meme goes, not great, not terrible. Okay, I'd like to see a breakdown of the demographics though of who were voting for Fishback, especially the age demographic. Okay, that would be telling, and that if it sways the way that I think it did, all right, that would send a powerful message to the GOP, who will promptly ignore it. So, anyway, why can't 4chan shoot 8kun because they're both behind bars? Thank you, little Cam. Possibly a Channer himself. Okay, yeah, 8chan was wiped out by basically Brendan Tarrant. Okay, that's where the Christchurch mosque shooting got uploaded to.
Right.
Anyway. There, I made it relevant to social media at the very end, Chris. Okay, though not relevant to our topic.
So, okay, we have wandered around the topic enough that we might have to skip a few slides, and that's fine. But here's a concrete example. The Lindsay Clancy case gives us a very concrete example of the feed to street situation, because there's the timeline, right? With like we were describing earlier with the Lindsay Clancy case, you've been seeing the TikToks and YouTube shorts, etc. These women holding their children and just text on the screen that says "Same Lindsay, same." It's like, oh my God, you know what? That if we got to have flock cameras, CCP, what is it? CPS needs to be knocking on these doors and just rounding these babies up. Buddy, I bring them here. I'll put them to work on my farm. I mean, shit. Life as a slave is better than being infanticided, and that they don't even have that option. So with the Lindsay case, what you see is the tweets go out. Organizer sends out the tweets 1:00 in the morning, and the next thing you know, you've got 400 people, 400 psychotic women wearing pink shirts that somebody printed up and handed out, standing outside the courthouse. And you hear the wailing and lamenting and gnashing of teeth as they cry out for the
tearing of garments.
Yeah, as they cry out about the innocence of this woman who, guys, this woman didn't snap and lose her temper and kill her children. Okay, let's be clear about that real quick. Come on, damn it. Lindsay did not snap and Why?
Just a heads up. I did
There.
take a look at. I took a look at how the presentation looked on my phone. Okay, which is an iPhone 12. And you just barely can't read the words. Okay, just so you know.
Okay. So need to adjust fire on that going forward. But make no mistake, Lindsay Clancy, according to her testimony, according to the defense, according to the police, the prosecutor, according to everyone, this is not a thing in controversy, right? She is not arguing that she didn't kill her children. Her defense is arguing that she is not guilty by reason of insanity. But even their account of the events is she sent her husband away.
Premeditated.
She concocted an excuse for him to be away.
Conspiracy to commit. Yep, conspiracy to commit premeditated murder. That's what that means legally.
Well, not conspiracy. She did not conspire with somebody.
Anyone else? Okay, but yeah, premeditated.
Right. But she premeditated. So she didn't just she didn't just have three screaming youngins running around, snap, lose her temper, and murder the children because she was unbalanced. Okay, she planned it ahead of time. Created an excuse, a plausible excuse for her husband to be away, and chose her moment to murder her children and attempt to kill herself, which she failed to do. Okay, this is not snapped. This is not sudden psycho break, dissociative disorder nonsense. This bitch decided to murder her babies,
which isn't real. None of that shit's real. Psychology isn't real. Let's be honest. It's a soft science. Okay, borderline pseudoscience. Perhaps it had. Well, okay. There is truth to it. Okay, in the way that you can manipulate people. Okay, Edward Bernays proved that, and Carl Jung proved that psychology is real. All right. However, what it has become in the modern day is not really there's nothing rigorously academic about it. Okay. It's effectively being a professionally licensed drug dealer who hands out the cornucopia of products of Big Pharma, to the public for the purpose of revenue generation. Okay. Now, for Lindsay Clancy, if I were to be charitable to her, okay, and I wouldn't be, I think she should be executed on the spot. Okay. If I were to be charitable to Lindsay, and if I were to, in any condition where I might essentially declare her not guilty by reason of insanity, well, there is still guilt to transfer, and that guilt must be immediately transferred, not only to the psychiatrists, okay, and it wasn't just one, it's multiple psychiatrists who aren't talking to each other, prescribing a nightmare concoction of drugs to include antidepressants in the form of serotonin reuptake inhibitors, okay, antipsychotic medication, okay, like Wellbutrin, and then benzodiazepine derived drugs, okay, I forgot the name of it, but basically SSRIs and benzos, okay, that combination is a horrifying combination and can create basically just essentially blackout moments, okay, where you don't know what you're doing, you've completely lost your mind, right? So if Lindsay Clancy is not guilty, then it needs to be a class action lawsuit, and there needs to be Big Pharma needs to be fucking destroyed. Like, let's be honest. After COVID, I have no sympathy for these people. After what they did to the Midwest, and specifically targeting Midwestern white people, okay, in the most impoverished, okay, and underemployed areas of the Midwest, with their basically push for OxyContin and other synthetic opioids, all right, they all need to be murdered. The Sackler family should be basically dragged through the streets by their genitals, whipped and beaten until their tear ducts run dry. That they cannot.
Okay, we're still on YouTube, Mario. Okay.
Sorry.
I don't disagree with you, but I'd like to stay live this evening. Mario, if you and I talked, I I don't remember if I think we have. Have we talked on air about doxycycline?
I'm not familiar.
It's the malaria medication they gave us when we went to Afghanistan. You went to Iraq, so I'm not sure if you had to, if you had the same.
We got that
dosage.
We got the anthrax shot, which is another roulette wheel vaccine.
You know, funny story. I never got the anthrax shot.
Yeah.
I went to Afghanistan, spent a year there, never got the anthrax shot. I was scheduled for it. My unit was scheduled for it, and Fee and I had a conflict with the schedule for the anthrax shot because we were having our first baby at the time, and I get rescheduled for it twice, and then the second time they said, well, we don't have time, so we're going to get down range and we'll get you the anthrax shot when we get down range. And then of course when we got there, it was, well, we don't have anybody to do it right now. We'll get to it. So I never got the anthrax shot. Which, okay. I mean, I think we all got it when we went through basic. Wasn't that one of the peanut butter in the ass shots?
It's the one that goes in your ass that feels cold. Like it feels like a cold worm in your ass cheeks, and it slowly dissipates.
Yeah, and it's awful. But
some percentage of recruits would have like disastrous, like horrific side effects from it. All right. My roommate, my barracks mate.
I was about to say that's what happened to Witt, right?
That's what happened to Daniel Witt. Basically, it destroyed his immune system. Okay. Completely fucked up his nervous system.
But anyway, the doxycycline, we were told when we were given it, and it was a ration of pills. We were supposed to take one every day to prevent malaria. And after the first, I took my doxycycline when I was supposed to for the first, I don't know, month while I was there. After about 3 weeks of it, I started having nightmares. And this was reported to be one of the side effects.
Fever dreams.
Yeah. Right. And the thing about the nightmares, it's not just that the nightmares were vivid and real and horrifying, right? You think nightmares, you think monsters, you think, oh, you're in a war zone and you're having vivid nightmares. You're probably like, oh, you're Black Hawk Down, you're stuck in the helicopter. No.
Nothing that cool.
No. I had nightmares like one that I remember very vividly. I dreamt that I had been redeployed, right? I came home from Afghanistan.
Killed your family. You Chris Benoit your fucking family, yeah.
No. I dreamt that my deployment was over. We got to the end of the year. We got home after having spent a year in Afghanistan. And in the dream, I could vividly remember having been in Afghanistan fighting war for a year. And I was met on the tarmac by a couple of senior officers in their dress uniforms who were there to tell me that some 6, 7, 8 months ago, my wife and our brand new baby had been in a fatal car accident, and the Army chose not to inform me of this information because they were afraid that it would affect my performance in combat, right? That was the nightmare. And it was vivid. It was absolutely believable while I was asleep. But here's the real, when I woke up from that nightmare, it took me, I shit you not, days. It happened to be that we were in a commo blackout when this happened, so I couldn't call home for several days. I couldn't call home for confirmation. I had days that I could not convince myself that it was just a bad dream and not waking reality.
Yeah,
I still have, and that's not the only nightmare like that I had while we were deployed. I stopped taking those. Drugs. I threw them away. I said I would rather die of malaria than continue, because if I keep going down this road of psychosis, I am going to murder the planet.
Yeah.
Right. I cannot continue down this path. I threw that psycho shit away. I had one recently. I won't go into details on this one. But I sat down with the wife the other day and had a long conversation about this nightmare that I had, because I woke up from a nightmare at 3:00 in the morning, and I told myself that I knew it was just a dream, but I could not shake the pseudo reality of it for several hours.
Yeah.
And
that's because there's barriers. What that drug was doing was breaking down the barriers in your brain between the hippocampus, okay, the hypothalamus,
mm-hmm.
and the prefrontal cortex. Okay,
Yep.
The dream is only supposed to go so far, right, up into the gray matter, up into this prefrontal, right, where we store reality, where we, everyday reality. It went too far. Your brain thought it was real because all the levers and valves were turned to make it real. That's why it was so disturbing. Yeah. Yep. And you you're a high IQ individual. Imagine that would do to someone like 85 IQ. You know what I mean? It would basically they're going to kill people on
psychotic break.
They're going to kill their chumate. Okay, is what's going to happen. Because they don't even have that measure of control that you do, okay, which is a high level.
Yeah, yep. I'm almost certain that if I was not the kind of guy who read Descartes recreationally in my teen years, I would already have an illegal body count.
You would have gone down to the command post and demanded the use of a telephone, and you would not have taken no for an answer, and you would have been utterly insubordinate. Is what would have happened.
Correct.
You would have demanded they fucking fire up the Trojan and point it so that we can bounce off the ionosphere and get to Hawaii because I need to make a phone call. Or if I had deployed with you, you would have gone down to D Main and I would have broke the golden rule of SIGINT, okay? And I would have been like, all right, Chris, look, you didn't hear this from me. Your wife was sending text messages 15 minutes ago. She's alive. Don't kill anyone.
Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. Yeah. Oh, so that's the experience that I, an emotionally stable, high IQ white man, have had with hormone altering drugs. Whew. Now couple that with the effect on the body of a woman who has had her hormones wrecked by pregnancy, and dump in 10 different varieties of psychosis-inducing pharmaceuticals.
Not wrecked, but attempting to renormalize, okay, because her body literally just it has fulfilled one function and now it has to go back to it has a factory reset, okay, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Correct. In fact, it takes a long time. So the 1 a.m. TikTok becomes 400 people at the courthouse. That's the path. That's how it happens. Let me see if I can. Nope, I can't adjust that.
Oh, just delete us. It's okay.
No, I was trying to. Yeah, that'll make it easier to read.
Yep.
But no, I was trying to do something else entirely, and this works.
Ooh.
There, that's better. Ooh, that's much better. Okay.
Look at this. The three names that give the most instant clickbait dopamine release to the modern leftist single woman, or the modern leftist woman. Okay, right there. That's your pantheon. That's 2026 right there. Lindsay Clancy, Carmelo Anthony, and Luigi Mangione.
And you'll notice, I don't have Tyler Robinson up there. Apparently, he just doesn't have the support from the ladies because he's not as pretty as Luigi.
And because and also the blowback to the gloating over Charlie Kirk's assassination actually gave a lot of them a scared straight moment. Okay, also. So they don't want to.
I don't know that I'd go that far. Candace Owens is making a fortune off of Kirk posting.
Then basically Candace Owen has in fact consumed all of the oxygen in the room, and there is nothing for basically the Legion of Harpies online to draw breath from, perhaps.
One hopes. Well, it may be because Tyler Robinson is a gay furry, and the ladies are at least still savvy enough to recognize, well, I don't have much of a chance there.
Luigi wasn't a tranny fucker. Okay, so yeah.
But yeah, so Lindsay's got the TikTok organizing. All three of these have seen extraordinary amounts of money fundraised on crowdfunding platforms. All three of them have seen massive support, and with Lindsay Clancy, you're seeing kind of two camps: women who say we understand how you could lose your mind, and how you could be tired of being a mother because being a mother is hard, etc. And then you have the other side of it where you've got this whole, well, she's a Leo and her husband's a Gemini, so he's obviously guilty, and she didn't hurt those babies. She loved her babies. No, that's psychotic. But you've got kind of a split there. You've got normal, rational, intelligent people who see evidence is collected and presented. The woman says she did it. Her husband says she did it. Her defense attorney says she did it. Everybody says she did it. And then you've got the, she did it, but she's not guilty because she was driven crazy by the drugs. And then you've got the, no, she couldn't have done it because she's a Leo and Mercury was in retrograde or whatever nonsense. In the Carmelo Anthony case, you have, we support Carmelo because he looks like us, and killing white people is moral and good. That was the support structure that Carmelo Anthony raised nearly $1 million in fundraisers off of. And you'll hear people say, well, he got a bum rap because it was an all-white jury. Okay. Thing one, it was not an all-white jury. The jury was, in fact, a diverse jury for what it counts for. The fact is that there were no blacks on the jury. And it's important to understand that the reason there were no blacks on the jury, this goes back to the mob theory situation, is because literally every black man and woman who was interviewed in the jury selection process made the affirmative statement in response to a question about their willingness to convict, that they would not convict based on the fact of his ethnicity. Not because they believed he was innocent, right? If they said, if they said something like that, I think he's innocent, so I'm not likely to convict. Well, that is a person whose mind can be changed by the presentation of evidence. What they were all removed from jury selection over was the affirmative assertion that because he is black, we will not convict him. Right?
Yeah. You think one of these Ben Crumb, you know what I mean, types, right? Or a one of the what's the used to be like a disgustingly fat guy, and now he looks like he has AIDS, and he had a show on MSNBC.
Al Sharpton,
Tawana Brawley, yeah.
You'd think one of them would have made a social media post and said,
"You got to keep it secret, man.
You got to lie. You've been lying your whole lives. Why stop now?"
Yep. Well, that's what cross-examiners are good at. They can suss out that lie. And black people, they generally don't win a battle of wits, okay? That's why they resort to violence so often.
And then you've got Luigi Mangione, who, at this point, he has confessed. He's making a plea deal. I mean, obviously, I'm not the prosecutor or the defense attorney or the investigator. I haven't had direct access to the evidence against Mangione. I don't know anything beyond what's available to the public. I will say that based on what has been available to the public, barring a very high-level conspiracy, it looks to me like Mangione did it. But in the case of Mangione, he has extraordinary popular support, even going so far as people like Bill Burr, the comedian, going on and more than once, raising a fist, Black Power fist, and saying "Free Luigi" on live television. And in those cases, in this case, kind of like with Carmelo, except this one's not on racial lines, this one's on pure political lines. The people who support Luigi, they do not support Luigi because they believe he did not do it. In fact, if they thought that he didn't do it, they would not be supporting him.
Correct.
What they support is the act itself.
Yeah.
They are in support of the murder, the targeted assassination of a man based on his professional identity, because he was a high-level C-suite member of a health insurance company.
One that had a particularly bad record in denying people care.
And that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, Luigi Mangione is the only one here that would ever be able to generate, like, basically multiracial, like both gender, multiracial. Essentially, that's the closest you get to, like, the Robin Hood, you know what I mean, paradigm, right? But yeah, Mello and Lindsay are no.
Robin Hood wasn't what people think he was. You could read the story of Robin Hood. You probably had it read to you when you were a kid, and what you took away from it was, oh, Robin Hood took money from evil rich people and shared it with the poor people because it's good to share with people. No.
He kept that shit. He fucking.
Well, no. More importantly, Robin Hood didn't rob from the rich to give to the poor. He robbed from the sheriff to give back to the overtaxed, and that's an important distinction. That's a whole rabbit hole, though. Let's get on. Let's keep going down. Okay, so we're talking about how coordination got faster. Right here, number 3. Let me touch on number 3 first, and then we'll go back from the beginning through. So I've talked about what I call mob threshold theory on the show many times. You've had this conversation with me, right, Mario?
I have no idea what a Granovetter is.
It's a man's name. We'll get there. Okay. So I've explained mob threshold theory. The idea is, think of everybody as having a character sheet, and one of, like in a video game or a tabletop RPG, and one of the attributes on your character sheet is your mob threshold.
Okay.
What that is
At what point do you join? At what point do you just give up your basically your individualism and give up your reasoning and become part of the mob? Yeah.
Right. What size does a mob have to be before you involuntarily surrender your agency to it, essentially? Right. And we heard this in leadership classes in the Army during professional development courses. The difference between one screaming idiot and a leader is the first follower.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a mob threshold of 0, that means that you are the guy that is likely in public to engage in a violent act for no reason other than you're mad about something and you'll throw a brick through a window.
Carmelo Anthony.
If you have a mob threshold of 1 and you see somebody throw a brick through a window, you might pick up the next brick and throw it.
White women attending Black Lives Matter protests.
If you have a mob threshold of 2 and you see 2 people, you might join in, right? Same at 3, at 4, etc. Here's the trick. Most people have a higher than zero mob threshold.
Yep.
The vast majority of people have a higher than zero mob threshold. In fact, the vast majority of people have a higher than 2 mob threshold. But every time one person joins the mob,
it increases
the number of people whose threshold is about to be breached increases.
Yep.
So you don't have 0 is followed by exactly 1 and then followed by exactly 2. If there are 3 people nearby whose mob threshold is exactly 1 and they see the 0 throw a brick, you didn't just go from 0 to 1. You went from 0 to 4.
And just to be clear, having a infinity mob threshold is not a virtue either. Okay. If you have an infinity mob threshold, then you literally are a completely atomized individual who cannot engage in any type of group action whatsoever. Like infinity mob threshold, there would be no United States. There would be no revolution. There would be no any revolution. Okay. With those people.
Correct. So ideally what we want is for everybody to have a high mob threshold. You know what you call a society where everybody has a high mob threshold?
A republic.
High trust.
High trust society. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So Granovetter is actually the author of an academic paper on this topic in 1978. And, I came up with what I refer to as the mob threshold theory on my own a few years ago. I've talked about it on air several times. It was only this evening, as I was preparing the deep dive, that I stumbled across the paper written by Granovetter and read some of it and kind of I read some of the paper and then I had ChatGPT highlight it, summarize the highlights for me so I could better understand it and got my head around, okay, basically this guy is talking about the same thing that I'm talking about. He was talking about it, almost 50 years ago. But the thing is, when Granovetter was talking about this idea, and he talked about, it's referred to as the Granovetter bomb, and he talked about threshold cascades, which is what I was just describing with instead of going from 0 to 1, going from 0 to 4, and now you get that escalating hockey-shaped graph of people having their threshold breached. Like I said, I came up with this idea on my own a couple of years ago, and doing the deep dive research tonight, I came across Granovetter. There's an important distinction here. Remember earlier we were talking about pamphlets and how slow they were, but they were still effective eventually. Mm-hmm. By the time Granovetter was having his theory, communication included broadcast television, radio, right? Subscription magazines and newspapers, right? Nothing anywhere near the level of instantaneous communication, transmission, publication that we have in modernity in the 2020s.
Six major corporations controlling 90% of the media that everybody sees. So
so in 1978, it was possible to get a message out, but it was still relatively slow to spread, right? Hell, at that point in time, not everybody had a television, right? Today, in 1978, you could be on a welfare program and not on a television. You could be not on a welfare program and voluntarily have chosen not to own a television. Today, buddy, I dare you to go find somebody who doesn't have at least a 50-inch flat screen.
And if they don't, then they're deeply embedded into their black mirror. Okay. So for Zoomers, for Gen Z, for Zoomers, there are some of them who legitimately don't own a television, or it's basically just a monitor to play games on.
Right. What I need a TV for? I got Obama phone.
Everybody got Obama phones.
Why I need a TV? I got Obama phone. But so my theory, which is very, very similar to Granovetter's theory, was formed in the modern age before AI was a part of the conversation, right? So we're talking late 2010s, early 2020s. I think the first time I talked about this on the show was probably 2017, when we're talking about things like the Battle of Berkeley, the college riots, right? It's like people forget about this shit. You know, the Battle of Berkeley happened. The Weather Underground happened.
Yep.
Guys, the riot economy is not new. It's just bigger, better, faster. Except for this year. You know, funny story, we got rid of USAID, no riots. Huh.
No, there have been some. I mean, the limited. There were the ICE riots. Okay.
Yes, they did not rise to the level of the BLM riots by any stretch.
That's because Trump basically toned it down. He essentially cucked. That's why.
Anyway,
should have kept going full bore.
Point being, pre-1980s, right? Well, hell, even before that, like I said, revolutions, pamphlets, right? Up until the 50s, it's newspapers, it's, once they existed, payphones, etc. Slow diffusion, localization. From the 50s to the 80s, now you've got radio plus television, right? 90s come through. You've got fax trees. You've got bulletin boards. You've got email. Much faster, but you're still kind of, restricted to niche, many-to-many networks, right? You've got groups of people that are communicating with their tight groups.
Yeah, and you have to be at a stationary. You have to be at a stationary position to participate. Okay. In other words, you got to actually sit down in front of your computer. You have to be there in front of the fax machine. Okay.
Correct. Well,
it's not mobile.
That plus you don't have mass publication at your fingertips as an individual, right?
Correct.
You can go on a bulletin board system, or you could set up a website, but you still have to get other people to come to you to see that, right? That's a very different creature. Early 2000s, cell phones, the ubiquity of cell phones and the text and texting.
Here, hold up real quick.
You remember faster, but you're still dealing with closed networks. Then you get to the 2010s, like Mario pointed out, the first iPhone. Now we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, right? And it's everybody doing it. And no longer are you, as the agent provocateur, the compensated anarchist, restricted to communicating with an identified niche network that has to go and actively recruit. You can actively recruit into the network and communicate directly to people who are not in the network for the purposes of recruiting by simply actively publishing on public platforms, public social media platforms, and suddenly we see the violence explode. Right? There were riots before the 2010s. But especially starting around 2016, 2017, we started seeing small riots happen.
It's the flash mob.
Constantly.
The flash mob, which was an internet meme, okay? And it was a revolutionary. It was a revolutionary thing. People just didn't realize it at the time, but we're basically up to 100 people could converge through basically email, text message change, okay, or through social media, right? And just all agree to, hey, we're going to be here at this place and do this thing, and then we're all going to just disperse, right? Minutes later, and it would be a social phenomenon, right? That was a IRL meme in the 2010s, right? So.
And Aaron Olson mentions teen takeovers. I was about to get to
takeovers
this.
Are the modern that is the current day, okay, like child of the flash mob, Okay,
Right. So,
flash mobs were originally just for pranks or for the lulls. You know what I mean? It wasn't to cause a mini riot on the spot, right? It was actually kind of wholesome if you think about it. But
yeah, the early flash mobs were like
it was
1,000 people show up and start dancing to YMCA in a mall.
It was white people.
It's adorable.
Yeah, it was white people. So take that same technology and put it in the hands of feral urban youths, and you're going to get a completely different outcome.
Well, so back when the flash mobs first started, we covered a few of them in the early days of the BFM, and I postulated then that okay, there's reason to be concerned here because
this could be weaponized.
I can see how this could be weaponized, a distraction for a crime that's ongoing, and then since then we've seen it happen in police procedurals, where there's a flash mob that's done so that somebody can commit an assassination in the middle of the flash mob, and when the police come to do their investigation, they find 1,000 people who got a text message that said, "Show up in a gray hoodie with a yellow backpack for the flash mob. We're gonna do this dance," and that's the suspect. Oh, but there's 1,000 people who fit the description.
Right.
That's a problem.
So right? Mischief. Okay.
Mischief to murder and now to mayhem.
Let me bring you back real quick before we get too far ahead here. Okay. There actually was a social communication phenomenon, right? That we are just old enough, just old enough to remember. Okay, do you remember? And it was something that was actually teasing at the threshold, the Granovetter threshold cascade. Okay, you remember chain letters?
Yep.
Where you would get a letter from someone, and then you would have to write a letter, basically involving a similar format, to 12 additional people and mail them off. And if you didn't do it, then it was like really bad luck, right? You remember that?
Yeah, and I never understood that one. I never understood what the scammer got on the other end of that.
I think it was actually an experiment from a university. I think it had origins in academia. Okay, if you want to go down the deep dive rabbit holes that nobody ever asked for, chain letters in the 70s and 80s. Okay. And then in the 90s, there was a brief rebirth of that, with basically chain emails. Okay, be the same thing, except that led to basically hacking. Okay,
right. Basically those were spear phishing attacks,
phishing emails. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a version of that even with regular social media now.
No, Aaron Olson, it was real. Be quiet, youth. It was real. It was indelible in my hippocampus. Okay, Aaron.
God, that smug bitch. Anyway, there's another form of that goes on. You'll see them on Facebook all the time. If you feel blessed, share this with. Don't share this. Copy and paste it to your 10 closest friends.
Okay, so it does still exist. Okay, I just don't do social media like that. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
All right. Me thinking I'm cool, remembering something archaic. Fuck it. They're taking everything from me, Chris. Okay, I'm never going to be cool again.
That's okay. It's okay to just be old and grumpy, Mario.
I have a choice.
I'm telling you got to come up to the farm sometime. I can show you what it's like to really be old and grumpy. Tomorrow we're getting the family together to fry the tail of the alligator that my father shot last Sunday.
Bro, please tell me you're going to buttermilk soak that bitch.
Oh, it's soaking.
Oh, okay. So you're ahead of the game. Okay, good. Because I have fried alligator as a Florida man. Okay, I can help you out with that.
We're doing tomorrow. We're doing an alligator, couple of goose, and I think we've got a lamb shank that we're going to smoke.
Did you get the geese from the park, Haitian style?
No, we got them from the yard, white boy style.
Oh, okay. Got it.
They flew over Sergeant Major's pond and they made too much noise. Moss said, "Put a stop to that," and he did.
Or did you do it like did you do it English style, where you shout down from the window, "Hey boy, what day is it?" It's Christmas Day, so go down to Layman's. Get me that big goose on the shelf. We'll give you half a crown.
Nope, this was definitely Sergeant Major in the yard with probably more gun than was required for the job.
So I'm kind of jealous because the equivalent of that here, we don't really get the geese. Okay, the equivalent of that here would be a sand crane, but they unfortunately they are protected. Okay, so we're not allowed to kill them.
I've had goose before, but this will be the first time I'm having it. You know, the dad got it. You know, somebody I know shot it, and it's wild goose. Like I've had it in restaurants before. I've never had wild goose at home.
You are gonna, even if it's as simple as like the cranberry sauce. You've got to have some type of berry chutney to go with it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I will take that under advisement.
Fuck it. Do it ghetto style. Bring a can of cranberry sauce. Okay. Trust me. Even more so than the turkey, the goose and the berries. Perfect. I ate a Canadian goose in New Hampshire. Okay, you're not
Mario, we're doing this at Sergeant Major's house. I promise you, anything we might hope to need on the menu is already in the cupboard.
Okay, fair enough.
Whether there was a plan for it or not.
I mean, I'm not saying you got to have lingonberries, okay? But if you had the lingonberries, that'd be pretty cool.
No doubt. Anyway, so all this fast forward to today, we have a whole new problem. The threshold can be compromised with enough people. Now,
what if you don't need people? Dun dun dun.
Exactly. One psycho with an effective AI prompt can create the illusion of 1,000 people posting same Lindsay, with almost no technical skills to back it up or support it to begin with. Oh, so
that is frightening to think.
Yeah,
that is frightening to think that those women. Now I've seen real life. I've seen like grainy amateur video, okay, and I've seen AI, all right, and I'm pretty sure that those women are actually just being crazy bitches online, following the consensus, okay. But the idea that, I mean, it is going to become like essentially an existential crisis paradigm that people are going to have to deal with in the future, where you literally do not know if anything is real. Okay, perhaps you and with digital with neurological implants, okay, you might not even know if you are real. So you could be looking at the complete dissolution of self if this technology progresses basically unrestricted. And honestly, I'd rather smash the machine than even take a chance at that. I would rather firehouse sale the entire internet. Okay. I would rather collapse the entire grid than that for ever to become a possibility. The evidence is not a simple lever. The strong claim is about coordination math, not technological destiny. So, you know what? I can't talk this slide. I don't know what this is. So let's talk about something else.
Okay. So I'm doing a little to we'll come back to this in a minute. So the evidence, not a simple lever. The strong claim is about coordination math, not technological destiny. So the supported claim: lower condition, lower costs, faster diffusion, visible social proof, common knowledge. You're talking about the visibility of your issue being rapidly disseminated across a broad network, and that being able to at least manufacture the illusion of, here, it's easier with the visual. We'll talk about it with the visual. This makes it easier to understand.
I don't understand.
The Granovetter bomb. Remember what I was talking about earlier with the difference between going from 0 to 1,
Yeah,
as opposed to going from 0 to 4.
Yeah,
right. Just because the 0 gets you to a person who has a threshold of 1. That doesn't mean that there's only one person with a threshold of 1. So if the 0 gets you to the threshold of 1, and that means that you add 4, you just went from 0 to 5, right? And that math is ever escalating, right? And then what we were talking about with the high trust society where everybody has a higher threshold, now you're into crowd B, which gets stalled. So crowd A, you get the cascade, where the higher the number breached means that you have a differential equation of ever escalating, ever accelerating rate of acceleration, where going to the next mob threshold level does not increase the current mob number by 1. It increases the current mob number by a number equal to the number of people whose mob threshold is 1 higher. And that is an ever rapidly escalating proof. You get that society where you've got the higher mob threshold and the higher trust level, the higher trust society. Then if you can cut it off at the mob threshold of 1 or 2, then that cascade effect doesn't take effect, and you don't have the runaway effect of the ever escalating, ever accelerating rate of acceleration of the mob growing out of control. Well, this is important as we look at the mob threshold theory. You have the classical actual visible participation crosses the personal threshold. Okay, that's real world. You're out on the street. Somebody picks up a brick and throws it through a window. How many people see one guy throw a brick and decide, I want to throw a brick too? Right? If that number is only 1 or 2 people, then maybe, if you're lucky, you don't have the cascade effect begin. But the higher the cascade number gets, the faster it's likely to accelerate. Now, in the classical example, the Granovetter example, then you actually need people to see the event happen. But perceived participation can cross the threshold before reality does. So you've only got one nut job throwing a brick. Okay, no big deal if only the people there see it happen. But what if that one nut job is wearing a t-shirt with a slogan on it, and 10 or 20 people nearby film him throwing the brick and then post it to their social media feed? Well, at that point, you may not break the mob containment at that exact location, but you just gave social proof that action is being taken somewhere by someone somewhere. And suddenly you've got people who, even though they weren't there to see it happen, they got to see it happen. Some of those people were rejected as psychosis, as criminality, as activity that they would never on their own engage in. Some people will say, oh, this is a thing that's going on now. How do I get involved? That's where you go from actual visible participation is greater than the greater or equal to your threshold, to perceived participation is greater than or equal to your threshold, right?
This is eerily similar, okay, to the type of math that virologists talk about when it comes to the spread of a virus. Okay,
Correct.
eerily similar. All right, and I would say that like I posted in the comment there when I was outside, would active rejection or would engaging in social media as in rejection, actively speaking out in rejection to the mob's activity, would that also count as engagement towards the cascade effect? I think it would. Okay. But it would basically be like it would have a basically it's a you're creating like dialectic mitosis, okay, which is also going to spread, okay. But in spreading the counter argument, you're also spreading the pro argument. You know what I mean? So any engagement whatsoever
yes.
is increasing the virology, hence the going viral, right, of the social media phenomenon. That's wild. I like.
Do you
this.
know what? In terms of social media, the parlance of the industry of social media, do you know what the term "going viral" means?
You got like more likes or watches than you have subscribers or something.
More engagements than subscribers or followers. Yeah. So if you've got 100 subscribers on YouTube and you get 500 views on a video, you've gone viral.
Yeah.
Right. And the math on it is somewhat counterintuitive because it seems like it would be more difficult to go viral if you have a lower engagement, if you have a lower starting engagement. But that's not correct. Mario, I'm going to share something with you real quick.
Here, let me answer Aaron Olson's question. He asks, "Is skin color a factor?"
Yeah, go ahead while I set this up.
Go back one slide. Oh, never mind. Okay. Is skin color a factor? So you're asking basically race and IQ, is that a factor? They have it's a different basically mob threshold. Okay. So yes, right, but the concept is similar. Okay. It's just like imagine you're at a different integer on that Overton window. Okay. So
okay,
look at
Mario, a little bit ago we were talking about somebody using AI to create false engagement.
A prime example,
false perception.
Really quick, a prime example, okay, of like low IQ third world people, okay, having this type of mob threshold cascade effect, right, would be the overthrow of Mahmoud Barak, whatever, the president of Egypt, right, or the military dictator of Egypt during the Mubarak during like 2014, right? Where yes, on Facebook you had a successful mass cascade event, okay, that propelled that man out of office due through mass popular uprising, okay. In fact, Facebook was working with the CIA at the time, and they were actually objectively testing this stuff, all right, the weaponization of social media in real time. Yes, that was real.
Yeah, the what was that? That was the
Arab Spring.
Arab Spring, that's it.
Yep.
I kept thinking Muslim summer. Like, no, it's white boy summer. It's Arab Spring. Okay, so Mario, you were saying you're not sure if the AI could convince somebody or something like that. You know, you can tell when it's an AI video, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's AI.
Not only is this AI, I literally did this with a prompt minutes ago.
Yeah, it's AI.
Now,
I mean, I could say like the lighting seems slightly off. Okay, I could say that the face, the pixels on the face aren't quite right. I could say that basically having the digital readout in the bottom right of the screen, okay, like it was an old VHS tape, okay, that the image quality does not match a VHS tape, okay, a variety of reasons, but what it comes down to is my brain tells me it's fake, and my brain was right.
But here's the more important point there, Mario. You and I, who both have a professional
we're not dumb
history and analytics.
We're not dumb. That's what it comes down to.
Right. The masses,
they don't know. No fucking. They don't know.
Will not be able to make that distinction.
Nope. And then you'll have midwits online posting on X like how it's AI and thinking that they're fucking brilliant for understanding that it's AI, whereas I can look at it and I instinctively know. Go ahead. Why don't we, do a show like that one time where you make basically it's real and then AI and see if the audience can basically figure out which is which. Okay.
Hell, I'll see if you can figure out which is which.
Oh yes, guinea pig me, daddy. Yes,
I will. I will guinea pig the shit out of you. I will guinea pig the shit out of you.
Do I get a wheel? Do I get a hamster wheel? That's it. That's in my contract. Okay, I need a hamster wheel. All right, and I need blueberries. Okay.
Blueberries.
I need blueberries. Okay.
Ooh. Okay, I got a lot more slides to get through. There's a lot of repetition here.
Well, I'm not going to be here for the whole thing.
You want to be off air in 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. So let's try and plow forward and wrap this up.
Give me 1 minute. We got Tyler the Flower, everyone's favorite Australian buggerer. That's right. Fresh off a Melbourne buggering campaign. Okay, everybody got gaped. Okay, everyone's going home sad. Everyone's crawling into a pub, nursing a pint. Okay, but Tyler the Flower's paint the town red. Everyone keeps talking about the Straits of Hormuz, but no one talks about the gays of Hormuz. You know what? That's an excellent point. Thank you, Tyler. Okay.
And that's simply because Hormuz lies in a primarily Islamic country where they have murdered all of their gays. That's why there are only straight in Hormuz.
The problem is Trump's been trying to get some of that Hormussy, okay, like for basically the past few months, okay, and his tip's still dry. Maybe he needs to look for the gays of Hormuz, okay, because the Hormussy ain't putting out. Thank you, Tyler, for that brilliant observation, and now we can proceed
for that delightful distraction. So, the martyr incentive. This is part of that whole riot narrative ecosystem. We saw it with Renee Good. And what was the other guy's name?
Who?
A couple days later.
Oh, Alex Pretty or whatever. Pretty
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. So with Renee Good and Alex Pretty, what we had was you had the professional protester sphere, the paid riot sphere, the compensated anarchists. Thank you, Matt Denneman, for that particular turn of phrase. But your agents provocateur create the circumstance, create the atmosphere, right? The mob gathers, and all you need is one person to push a little too far, right? So it's not that you have to break that mob threshold to gather the mob, right? This is something that these professional organizations use to this is what community organizing is. They understand that the more people you get in one place, the more likely it is that you will have people with a low mob threshold put in proximity to people with a lower mob threshold, where the likelihood of one guy with a threshold of 0 incites the guys with the 1s and 2s to extend the violence beyond the one actor. And the objective is to get one of their own people killed, right? Correct. When you show up, if you respond to a left-wing activist call to action to go and scare quotes peacefully protest, what you are responding to is an order to go and stand in line for the human sacrifice lottery.
Yep.
What we're looking for is not to get a message out. This was always true. It is even more true today, because if all they wanted to do was communicate a message, they could do it far faster, far more efficiently, and far more cheaply by simply posting paid ads on social medias. But that doesn't get the ever escalating free press coverage that a dead body does.
It's
So
one
what
of the
they're
most.
looking for is for you to get out there and get yourself killed by a cop, or if they're very, very lucky, it has happened almost 0 times, but if they're very, very lucky, to get yourself killed by a counter protester, by somebody who is there visibly with the opposition, somebody who's a conservative, a white supremacist,
Yeah.
if they can manage it. But what they're really counting on is a cop is going to kill you but you're going to get yourself in a position where you're fighting a cop, or you're close to people who are fighting cops, and you're going to catch a straight bullet from a cop. That's the objective. That's the plan. The plan is to get your body on the cover of a magazine.
And the political right, or the the conservatives, okay, what they fail to understand is that, I mean, you look at this and it's like, this makes perfect sense. Okay, it's the song at the intro of the show, all your martyrs are monsters. Okay, that it's pointing exactly to this. And for the left, when you show up at an event, they want nothing more than for you to die to feed the cause, right? And yeah, it will have there. Nothing creates a cascade like the fusion of social media, okay, and protesters dying in the streets. And you might be asking yourself, like, well, but the more you fight back, like, the worse it's going to get, until eventually you get a full blown revolution, right? Like French Revolution style. And yeah, you are correct. This tactic is in fact unbeatable, except one way. The one way you can defeat this tactic, if you're on the other end, is to ramp up the violence to the point where it shocks the system and shatters the cascade. Because when you break the cascade, it implodes on itself and it all falls apart like shards of glass. Okay. For example, in the after the French Revolution, when Napoleon gained power, right? What he did, there was a mass protest. There was a mob movement in Paris, basically a no kings, if you will, against Napoleon, who had declared himself emperor. And what did he do? He lined the streets with cannons and grape shotted the fuck out of them. He just grape shotted them. Okay, slaughtered them. That canceled. The only way to stop a cascade is to break the wave. You have to break the wave. That's the way you have to do it. And barring extreme charisma, okay, barring the highest grade political gift that someone can have, the only way to do that, unfortunately, is with violence. It sucks, but there really isn't any other way. It's like a woman is out of control. It's like, what did Sean Connery say? Like, if a woman is completely out of control, talking out her ass, basically disgracing herself in public. Yes, sometimes you have to slap her at the micro level. That's exactly what we're talking about. You got to slap them. I'm glad I could bring up Sean Connery. I'm glad.
I wish we could bring up Sean Connery. For another decent Bond film, I would commit to necromancy.
Kenneth says, and we watch them drag children out from our schools.
I need a little more context there.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're paying attention to the chat. Okay.
Okay, so this basically brings all that back together, and the rest of what I want you to understand here. Let me blow that image up a little bit more. You got the trigger, something happens, right? In You've got the for protest, yes. Especially during the anti-ICE protests, but we've seen it with lots of left-wing protests. Yes, the teachers are taking the kids out on the street, mandatory participation, leaving classrooms, or they're offering, hey, you can get out of class today if you go protest.
So the grape shot method to deal with that is the school is closed. The school it's a federal institution. The school is shut down. Okay, all money ceases. All the teachers, the entire staff of the school is mass arrested, okay, and sent to a fucking FEMA center. And the kids are sent home to their parents. Doesn't have to be for long, maybe a week. That's all it would take.
And hey, if you're not already, guys, if you've got kids, homeschool. So many reasons.
Oh, Kenneth, they'd love nothing more than for ICE to grease a kid, okay?
Correct.
Protest. They would want nothing more. That is their sacrament. If they couldn't get him in the womb, they damn well want to get him before they reach puberty, okay? And if they can't reach him before they hit puberty, then they want to trans him, okay? And if they can't get him before puberty, okay, or at puberty, then they want to turn him into a feminist, all right? It's always the left has so many wonders to show you. Okay, there's always
they don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
Exactly.
I think we'll close with that song tonight.
Oof.
But here's the other thing that I definitely want to cover before we wrap this evening. We don't have to get through the whole slideshow. We'll basically start getting repetitive after this. So the trigger event. Right, the actual crime. People come out in support of Carmelo Anthony, in support of Luigi Mangione, in support of Lindsay Clancy, and in support of Renee Good, et cetera, et cetera. You know, leftist or left-wing identity construct commits crime. And now you've got the narrative capture. Oh, this is a victim. Lindsay wasn't a monster. She was the victim of evil big pharma. You know what? Two things can be true at the same time. It could be that big pharma made her into the kind of monster that a decent man would kill before it had a chance to murder people. Right? Two things can be true at the same time. Mario, remember about 10 years ago, there was a spate of Disney films about the backstory of the villainesses. Right? You got
the Descendants or whatever.
No, not even Descendants. They're Maleficent. It's the backstory of the evil queen and how, she wasn't an evil queen. She was snubbed by the king, and she had good cause to be upset and to seek retribution. And it was really the bad patriarchy that turned her into... Shut up.
And yet you harmed the innocent. And yet you actively harmed the innocent. So
Correct.
No, I don't forgive you.
I don't accept your excuse.
That's
I don't care about your backstory.
I was going to say, don't get it twisted from my opening statement, okay, about if Lindsay is exonerable, then the blame must fall to pharma. No, both must be punished, okay? There is no scenario in which Lindsay does not deserve the death penalty, okay? I'm just saying that there are accessory crimes aplenty, all right, that could fall all around basically the crater of this absolute shit show.
Correct. It is better to kill the monster and the man that made it. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't stop at disassembling Frankenstein's monster. You need to go and burn the castle down.
That's why yes, exactly. Once the monster's dead, you go get Dr. Frankenstein himself.
Yeah. Right. Well, so all of this, we've already talked about all of this. This bit right here, street action, bodies appear. The street becomes content. Right? That line right there, I want you to sit with that and understand that. It is getting the bodies on the street, getting their human sacrifices out in front of the camera is not the end of the process. It is not the end goal. The bodies on the street is the objective of the initial movement. The initial movement is circular. Bodies on the street become more content that come back to the amplification, and you get more identity formation, more threshold collapse, and now you're into the ever rising number of engagements until you get more bodies on the street. And from amplification, once you get past narrative capture into amplification, that first body becomes a positive feedback loop that constantly brings you back to more amplification, more identity formation, more threshold collapse, bigger infrastructure, more donations, more money, more funding, more bodies, and all the way back to more amplification. The street becomes content. The ultimate goal is pure communism.
Yep.
But communism is necessarily a revolutionary activity that requires the murder of millions of people every time it is implemented. There are and have been no exceptions ever.
You can look at this. This is a good slide. Okay. And you can look at this slide, and this isn't just like, I'm sure the image in your mind is like, step one here, Derek Chauvin, knee on the back of George Floyd, right? And then number 7 is basically Kenosha Burns, right? This can also apply to any sort of like mass. What did Dr. Robert Malone call it? Mass hysteria, whatever, something.
Mass formation psychosis.
Mass formation psychosis. This applies to any type of mass formation psychosis. Okay, so you can look at this as the vax. Okay, now I don't know how YouTube feels about basically talking about the mRNA vaccine, but the rollout of the mass COVID vaccination program follows the exact same thing.
We're clear to go on that.
Except at the end, that number 7, that street action, you know what that was? That was January 6th. It was when the people who refused to be mind washed, okay? The people who refused to accept inherent falsehood in their mind directly in front of their faces finally came into action. And the government treated that as if it was a terrorist attack.
And this is a little bit off topic, but not terribly. January 6th was the result of a large conflation of events, collision of events.
It was a pressure release valve of multiple concurrent psyops that were happening at the same time.
Correct. January 6th would not have happened if any one of the things that preceded it had not been there. Any one of those would have broken the threshold.
Yep.
If everything in 2020 happened exactly as it did, except that there was never a statement from leftist pundits and politicians about how it's okay to riot. It's safe to riot. Right, if you go to a BLM riot,
because racism is a public health crisis. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. You're not going to cause what did they a super spreader event? They basically said, riot. You can't catch COVID if you're at a BLM protest. If you go to church, everybody's going to get sick and die. But if you go to a BLM protest, you're safe. Right. If only that one thing had not been there, January 6th wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it was COVID, Black Lives Matter, and a stolen election. Okay, those 3 concurrent psyops. Right, that was actually the boiling point where normal conservatives literally couldn't take it anymore. Okay, that's what caused January 6th. And I remember myself at the time. I thought I was losing my fucking mind. Like I was disturbed. I was getting into like shouting matches with my dad over what was going on. Where my dad's like, "No, don't worry about it. The pendulum's going to swing back. And you know what I mean? And I'm just like, no, Dad, you don't understand. Like this can't be forgiven. It can't be forgiven. Okay. We've been betrayed at a fundamental level, at every level. Okay. This is the wholesale abortion of the American experience. And I can't fucking take it anymore. And from that point forward, like my parents, they know that the things that I say that sound crazy ultimately are true, are found to be true, and it becomes common knowledge that it's true. But it upsets them. You know what I mean? That I get there that quick because I know. I know what they're really doing. I don't know how many times I got to tell you, they want you dead. They want us dead and replaced because they think then they'll be the masters of the universe. And who are they? Tune in next month when we get back on Rumble Exclusive. Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Outrage merchants on applause. Same. We already covered dead internet theory, AI manufacturers. Okay. Okay, I want to touch this real quick before we wrap, and then let's go ahead and get on the wrap side. Paid protesters collapses 4 claims. You guys have heard about paid protesters, especially in 2020. You heard a lot of kind of the tinfoil right talk about paid protesters, and the right wing podcast sphere, blogosphere, etc., made a terrible mistake here in overclaiming the paid protester thing. Yes, you can absolutely go on Indeed at the right time of year at Indeed.com or any job posting board, and you will find ads for paid protesters, literally being paid to go protest. That is not the majority of the protesters out there. The majority of the protesters out there are not being paid.
Correct.
However, many of them are being bussed in from out of town.
They're being facilitated.
They're being supplied with the printed signs, right? Remember the pallets of bricks showing up? That's a thing that absolutely happened. And those bricks were thrown through windows and used to facilitate the rioting activities, things like that. What actually happens is you'll have various nonprofit groups will do things like, oh, hey, we're all taking PTO today. We're all taking paid time off today to go out and participate in this very important political protest. We're all going to be out there protesting, right? That's one level of paid protester. That is not the majority of the protesters. Then you've got the so-called community organizers. They're actually paid by NGOs and nonprofits to go out and spread, and they still hand out pamphlets. They stand on street corners and hand out pamphlets. They go to colleges and anywhere that there's a public bulletin board and post flyers, right? They go to various kinds of meetings where there's any likelihood that there's a tangential overlap. Like, for example, if you go to a GOP meeting, if you go to your local GOP meeting and go meet the candidate or whatever, and you're gonna have your local candidate who's running for maybe he's running for Senate, right, or running for the House of Representatives in your district, right? Your local GOP, your county Grand Old Party group is meeting, and that's what they're there for. Guaranteed, there's going to be somebody at that meeting who has pro-life flyers from a particular organization. There's going to be somebody at that meeting, right? Let's say it's Mike Collins, and the only issue he's going to talk about tonight is veterans benefits issues. You're still going to have somebody from TPUSA show up and tell you, hey, old guys, y'all need to be getting your young college guys to come here with you when they have the GOP meetings. oh, by the way, here's a flyer with our event dates. We're going to be hosting an event at the college down the street soon. And you'll have your pro-life guys, you'll have your 2A guys. Hey, did you know that there's a Supreme Court case related to the banning of AR-15s right now? And sign this petition, right? That's going to happen. Same thing happens. That's what community organizers do on the left. If there's a pro-abortion rally, you will have Free Palestine, pro-Sharia law. You will have gay rights activists at the abortion rally. Anywhere there's an intersect, right? That's where your actual paid protesters are. It's the people who go out and, here's people that are likely to come out, right? These guys like killing babies. They're going to totally show up for our Free Palestine rally, right? These guys don't want anybody to have guns. They're absolutely going to show up for our kill all the babies after they're born rally, right? And that's how they gather the horde that becomes the mob, where they can find that low threshold guy that's going to get somebody bodied on the news. Right. So you got your NGOs sending people using their PTO, their paid time off, to go protest. You got your public schools run by the teachers unions that are telling your children, hey, you can get out of class today if you go hold up this anti-ICE sign. Right? Not because we need more people to spread the message, but because they want a child. They want the body of a child on the cover of the New York Times. They want to be able to say, ICE agent murders 10-year-old girl.
Right. Should we or should we not support universal basic income? Whoa, Mario, that's way off the tracks here. No, it's not. Okay, because here's why. So many of the left-wing agitators, so many of the left-wing protesters, right? Their lives are subsidized. They work for organizations that receive government grants, or they're just welfare recipients, okay, live in Section 8, whatever, and they don't necessarily have day jobs to go to, so that they can devote themselves full-time to professional agitation. If you had universal basic income, would it give the right the same economic freedom to cascade? Or would it turn into the government is paying the people to kill each other in the streets? You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting thought exercise. But
I don't think universal basic income is the path to no. So communism is never. Hang on. Socialism is never the solution to communism.
Mm-hmm. I know, but it's like if I didn't have to work, I'd be bored and I'd be looking for protests to go to that were right wing. Cascade me, bro.
Okay. Second I had to look it up because I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. Second Thessalonians 3:10. If he would not work, neither should he eat.
Yeah, I know. Well played, Chris. You got me.
Paul was based.
You used my own magic against me. Well done. I know.
Don't cite the deep magics to me. I was there when they were written down.
I say it out of frustration. Okay, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to be paid to kill leftists in the streets? Yeah. So.
You mean enlist in the National Guard in the 1970s?
Yeah.
I missed my calling.
Yeah. Careful, Aaron Olson is a Kent State irredentist. Okay, you might offend him. He's our number one fan.
All right, guys. I think that's all we can reasonably accomplish tonight. Mario's getting goofy and sleepy, and so am I. And I know you got to get up tomorrow morning. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was informative and interesting. And we appreciate you taking the time with us this evening. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you on Monday.
Ciao.
Let's see how this plays out.
Is Is this new?
One world, one truth, no mother, no father, no past, no future, only the lesson. Government white, rewrite the bloodline under buzzing light. They paint every cage in nursery hues, then teach little mouths what words to refuse. The bell doesn't ring,
it tolls in the hall,
a soft little hammer
behind every wall,
your name on a desk.
their hand on the course.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours. Mama keeps a ledger in scarlet and chalk, one column for silence, one column for thought. They emptied their cradles and boarded the doors. Now hunger wears lanyards, slogans and laws.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
Through the classroom glass and the clinic doors.
They burn their own cradles at Moloch's door.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
No sons to remember, no daughters to warn.
So they harvest the future before it is born.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
Taking yours. Taking yours. The lesson begins with a knife through the past. Cut father from language, make mother a mask. Confession by worksheet, conversion by grade. A child learns obedience before they're afraid. The prophets wear lanterns, the priests carry forms. They bless every rupture and punish the norms. Then smile for the camera and call it scars.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours. Once innocence emptied of name, a nation of orphans all thinking the same. The altar is sterile, the hymn is coerced. They call it compassion while feeding the curse. They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
Through the classroom glass and the clinic door.
They burn their own cradles at Moloch's door.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
No sons to remember, no daughters to warn.
So they harvest the future before it is born.
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
Taking yours. Who owns the child? The mother? The father? No. The state says the state. Who writes the soul?
The blood,
The home?
no.
The screen and the slate. First they sever the root, then they poison the well, then they sell you the cure for the sickness they sell. Count the empty bedrooms, count the vacant chairs. Hear Moloch laughing through the schoolhouse prayers.
Every hour,
You gave them the keys.
thought it was reading.
They thought it was reading.
They taught them to kneel,
Not to God,
not to truth,
not to blood,
not to source.
to the mouth of the machine that is taking
They don't have kids, so they're taking yours. They don't have kids, so they're taking yours. From the breakfast table to the courthouse doors.
They burn their own future on Moloch's floor.
Now they want your bloodline to settle the score.
No sons to remember, no daughters to warn.
So they harvest the future before it is born. They don't have kids, so they're taking yours.
One world, one truth. No mother, no father, only the lesson.